I see.
Go ahead.
We're almost live. We're live a couple places, but we're getting there. I wait for this button to, there we go, on Instagram. All right, welcome back to another week of Chicago Landlord Secrets. I'm Mark Ainley, and with me always is Tim Harstead. So Tim, man, thanks, man. How's it going?
Doing good. What's going on? How's the week treating you? I have not had a tornado to report on this week, so we're doing better.
Yes. I heard there's some storms coming here, I think, over this weekend, but I don't know. It's we missed some storms the other night, but I know that some of our properties, like Antioch and stuff like that, did get whacked pretty bad the other night. So it did hit the south side. Did you guys get anything on would it be Tuesday night?
No, not really. I mean, like it rained, but it wasn't I mean, look, would I have said that we had a thunderstorm if this was last year and maybe complained about it? Yes. Was it anything? No. Compared to what we've had and everything that we've been through, yeah, it's not even. Didn't even register for me as an issue because of how little it was.
Did you hear out here in DuPage County, the tornado sirens accidentally went off at 3:30 in the morning on Monday night going into Tuesday. So that scared a bunch of people out in the suburbs this week. No storm in sight. It just went off on accident.
I did hear about that, and yeah, that would I think that would justify, like, I mean, I have a 3-year-old right now. We're finally at a good spot, although she's been pretty good for a long time, but like where she's not waking up in the middle of the night. If I was someone that had to get up early or had a kid that finally went down and that went off at 2 a.m, I'd be so crazily pissed.
Well, the thing about nighttime is, like, you just don't know. And with the weather lately, you just don't know. So if you do hear it, you just assume this is real. I can't see outside. I can't look. I can't even see if it's, it's dark out. You can't even see if it's storming or if it's not, unless it's lightning out or rain's falling. For the most part, you hear thunder.
even the one, well, and I forget if I said this last time, but the last tornadoes that touched a couple of weeks ago came out of nowhere, and to the point where, like, when I got the alert on my phone, and I called, I'm in my basement. I called to have my wife. I'm like, hey, grab the kid and come down. She's like, what are you talking about? There's nothing. And it came out of nowhere. So yeah, being woken up in the middle of the night, you have to take it serious the way it's been the last 2 months.
All right. So I'm the type of guy, I hear the sirens, I want to go out and see it. Like, I don't run downstairs. I run outside. How do you, like, you're either one or the other for the most part?
So now that I have a small child, I get my 3-year-old into the basement, and then me and my wife take turns going outside to videotape us.
I love it. That's what Midwesterners do. So, all right. Breaking news that we finally have a date for the Cook County property tax bill. I'm sure you have an opinion on this, but I heard yesterday they went out in the mail, and the second installment for 2025 will be due on October 1st. So it's kind of crazy. It's supposed to be August 1st. If you ever look up what it's supposed to be August 1st. But I don't remember a time in my real estate investing career in the last 15, 20 years, actually more than 20 years, that I've ever seen it come out on August 1st. Have you?
I don't want to say August 1st. Like, my memory's not that good, but it hasn't been this late. Like the fact that they have been coming up so, like, I actually just pulled up my house to see if it popped up yet, and it has. So, the fact that, like, this one is not that bad. Last year, the fact that we didn't get it until Christmas time was insane. And from what I've heard, people that are getting refunds are still waiting for last year. So this whole system that they have going on right now, I think there's a reason we have a new assessor coming in.
Yeah, but it's not the assessor's fault. It ends up being the treasurer department's fault. The assessor, from what I learned from having Pat Hines on the podcast a few weeks ago, what I learned from that is all the numbers that are going out right now, they had this done they had 90% of it done after Thanksgiving last year. So then it ends up being, all right, what's going to get contested? and then it gets to that. So I mean, it's a crazy low number. It's only like it was under 30% of actually how many get contested, but it's really the Treasury Department. They continue to blame it on the software issue that is slow to work or doesn't work or just hasn't been fully implemented yet.
Well, have you heard any of the stories behind that? So who is it Burwinkle?
I mean,
who's actually in charge of all the software stuff? Is it like
it's the Treasury Department? It would be what's her name? I'm drawing a blank on her name right now.
I think it's like Periwinkle. Yeah.
No, she's the Cook County. Yeah, she's Cook County. So pull up real fast so we get it right. So the Cook County Treasurer is Maria Pappas.
Okay. So
that's technically her office in charge, and she's always saying it's on the software side.
Yes, but so because of that, they've interviewed the software side, and they've said that so many people have quit because of the way that she talks to them and treats them. So apparently,
the software company's firing back, huh? That's
They fired back at her, saying that she's been unreasonable and she'd wait till last minute, make a change, and then demand that they do it faster. And it's not a good working relationship, apparently, which is not a good thing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm hoping I get that. Yeah, they have it and all that, but I'm hoping that going forward, it gets faster. I'm hoping that we're not next year in February. We're already seeing it for the first assessment. Yeah, but we'll see. But I just looked up my house right now. It was not there last week. I thought it was going to be, but it went up $600. That's not uncommon. That's something that we're almost getting used to at this point, is that it's going to go up anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a year. It seems like the last few years. So that's my increase in my personal residence. We're going to continue to see that until they figure out a better way to spread it out and to add it to some of these bigger commercial properties like they used to. I think what Mayor Johnson and what a lot of them, we've talked about the PRO Act and all this stuff, all these laws trying to reduce rent prices. This is the number one. This and insurance, I think, is the number one reason that prices keep going up for rent so drastically, is the cost of taxes over the last 3 or 4 years and the price increases.
Well, I always tell people, people always ask me, DuPage taxes are just as high, and they are for the most part. But I always explain about there's just this level of like consistency. DuPage taxes will go up whatever percent it might be for your property every single year, and it's fairly consistent, and it's been consistent for the last 20 years, right? So if you look back at your last 20 years, if you own a property in DuPage County, you could probably see that there's a 1 to 3% increase every single year. When Cook County, I don't know how it is for you, but the properties I have in Cook County, it's like I just hold my breath. Like, am I gonna get lucky and they didn't whack me here, or am I gonna like, oh my god, and totally contemplate my investment strategy for anything that touches Cook County?
I don't know if you can hear me right now, Mark, but I can't hear you. It's something with my computer. I'm gonna log out. Give me 1 second.
All right. Well, everyone else hopefully heard that, and I'll just have a monologue here until Tim jumps back on. But taxes suck because you have to work them in your pro forma, right? Interest rates, taxes, people do complain about them, but as long as you work in your pro forma and you have some room for adjustments, it's going to eventually. It's just another number. It's just another number in your formula. You just have to account for it. Now, that might mean it might translate to you can't pay as much for the property as you would want to, or if the taxes were lower and insurance is lower, then you can pay a little more if you're competing against somebody. So kind of keep that in mind. Although it's a cost that goes up, it's a fixed cost that you can at least you could somewhat estimate, or at least predict worst case scenarios. So, Cook County, maybe you're going to estimate it's going to go up 5% a year and just run your numbers like that. But that's still probably pretty close and predictable. So when you run your numbers here in Cook County. But like I was saying, if you're in DuPage County, things are a little more consistent. Same with Kane County, a little more consistent. if you don't know this, you do have the option for paying to contest your property taxes. You can do it by yourself. So whatever township you might be in. So I am in, for here we're in Schaumburg. I'm doing a monologue right now. So
good. Keep doing it. I'm on my phone right now as I try to figure out why my computer is it's trying to connect my my speaker to my. It's trying to use my microphone as a speaker. All of a sudden, it just switched itself, and so I couldn't hear you. But keep doing your monologue, and I'll jump back in on my phone in a second here.
Yeah, I was just saying. So you do have the right to contest your tax. You could do it by yourself. You could go to the assessor's office website, fill out some forms. You could go into the assessor's office. They'll ask you for stuff like comparables and all that. And you could go on to our website and free rental analysis and be able to get comparable properties if you ever are contesting as your own. But you can also hire an attorney. So there's plenty of law firms in Chicago that will contest your taxes, and they're are going to be all fee based. So if they'll take a percentage of what they save you. So if a lot of them are anywhere between 25 to 50%. So if they're going to save you $1,000 on your taxes this year, they might take a third of that. So 33% is their fee, and you don't do anything. You really just send over it, sign some paperwork, and they'll handle the rest. So you can do either way. You can do it for free, and or you can use an attorney. So, and then one other thing, as your tax bill comes out this year, maybe you're logging in, you're looking at it. That's all on the treasurer's site. But if you go on the Cook County Assessor's Office, and this holds true for every county. So if you go on the King County Assessor's Office, or sometimes the township assessor has this data versus the county, but you want to make sure that everything that is on there that you're paying tax on exists. I've bought houses before that I bought it with no garage, and I look on there, and there's a garage on there. Maybe that garage got torn down in the last 15, 20 years, but the assessor never realized that, never found that out, never reported it. So I've been paying an extra $500 to $700 a year for the structure that doesn't even exist. So keep that in mind. That happens a lot in the city. You tear down a garage and you got that, you never really think twice. You think you got parking out there, but that concrete pad was the bottom of a garage that doesn't exist anymore, that you literally pay $500 to $600 more on it. So that's always an opportunity. And I always kind of keep an eye on that. Also, same with pools, patios, all that type of stuff. If they ever ding you and put you on add your assessed value because of those things, and you can usually see they're under characteristics on your property. You should want to make sure that that's done. Or if you're in a single family, but it's got you reported as a 2-flat, maybe you have an older building that was deconverted. I always make sure that you have that's all right online, because that will help you at least the first step of having accurate taxes versus too high taxes.
I'll throw this out here too. If you're buying a building, look at this, because I don't know how many clients you get where they buy the building and the tax is $4,000, and then the next year it's 10. If you bought a brand new rehab, odds are that the taxes from 2 years ago aren't going to be up to date, and you're going to be very surprised when the county catches up and says, "Oh wait, they added another story to this building, or they added this or that to this building." And it can definitely come as a surprise to you when the next year comes out if you weren't preparing for it.
Yeah, the other thing I always run into, and I see people get burned by this all the time, is they don't take into account the exemptions. So it's really, often a wholesaler might bring you a property, and there's a nice 92-year-old lady that's got a senior freeze, senior exemption on there, and a homestead exemption. And from that, you might, maybe that freeze has been on there for 10, 15 years. And from that, you are going to, the tax only go up from there. So if those freezes and those exemptions fall off, your $4,000 tax bill that you underwrote could potentially be 7 or 8. So, you can look at, again, back on the assessor's office page, not the treasurer's where you actually get the bill, but on the assessor's page, that's where you will see the different exemptions that are on the property. You can see the history of exemptions, and that will allow you to at least estimate the taxes. Now, for property taxes, what you should always be doing when you're looking to buy is also looking at the neighbor properties. If you're in the city or the suburbs, it's pretty easy to find a property and then look on that same block or that same neighborhood and find properties that have similar, similar properties, similar size, similar finishes, and be able to compare your tax bill. So if those taxes are going for $7,000, $8,000 and the property you're buying is $3,200, look at the exemptions. But I'd run my numbers at that 7,000 or 8,000, because something is getting in the way of getting that fully assessed, and that's probably what will happen after the next reassessment happens, which in Cook County is every 3 years. In the Collier counties, it's every year. So,
no, it's good advice. You want to roll into that? Speaking of taxes, I think that's a big part of your decision on what I'm about to go into. But you want to roll into the game that you created last week? I'll give you some options this time.
Yeah, I'm in.
Where would Mark invest his money and or prefer to manage? So, all right, I'm going to throw this one. The first one's a little odd, but I want your opinion on it. If you own property in both Hammond and in Arlington Heights, where would you want the Bears to have their stadium? That's the first one. The Bears moving to Hammond, would that help landlords there more, or the Bears moving to Arlington Heights?
I think it'll help landlords more in Hammond than it would Arlington Heights. I think you have a lot more restrictions already in place in the northwest suburbs, and Hammond and the surrounding communities are a little more looser, which will be a little more landlord friendly, which will attract more opportunities over there, even probably down to new construction opportunities as well too.
Cool. All right, I'm going to start off broad on the real choices, then we'll go different towns. But would you rather invest in A-class properties or C-class properties?
I've done both, and I believe C-class you have to be far more hands-on, even if you have a property manager. But A-class is something that you could get away, 15, 20 hours a year managing on your own if you really wanted to do it your own and kind of put your hands around it. So I also think A-class will give you better appreciation and rent growth over time, where some of that could go up and down. And a lot of times in C-class, you're in multifamily, where really the gross revenue is going to dictate your value of your property.
Cool. All right, little battle of the counties overall: Will County or DuPage County?
I just wrote something on this. If I'm evicting, Will County. If I'm investing, if I'm just long-term hold, DuPage County.
Man, dude, I was just talking to another PM in Joliet, and I was like, "So what's your evictions like?" He's like, 60 days. I'm like, wait, from start to finish. I'm like, so it's not an Illinois thing. It is Cook County making their own rules that are causing these delays. But yeah, that's
Will County's pretty, like they don't mess around. Like they take crime, they take breaking the law, they take people trying to cheat the system. They take it pretty seriously in their judicial system, and that is appreciated by landlords in Will County, or even us as managers in Will County.
Cool. All right, Chicago proper or the Cook County suburbs?
I'll say, I thought about, it's funny. I thought about this answer earlier, as I thought you might ask this. I would say Chicago proper, less oversight, lower taxes, and just easier to operate versus the suburbs that are always going to have higher taxes. Most of the suburbs are dealing with rental licenses, and there's a lot more oversight, permitting, all that type of stuff.
I didn't have this one, but mainly because I on my list, because I didn't actually think you'd pick Chicago there. So I'm going to keep that going. Chicago or DuPage or Will. I'll just throw. Well, you said DuPage, so Chicago or DuPage?
I'll still take DuPage. I think long term, it's a lot more conservative of an investment. You might not make you might make 1% or 2% less in returns, but in the end of the day, I think you'll have a stronger asset long term. It's the difference, I think, between going S&P or going right out and picking like Amazon.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, let's go. Let's dive into the city a little bit. Somewhere like Lakeview, Lincoln Park, or a little more outskirts like Edison Park.
I like Edison Park. Edison Park right now has I heard the other day has a shortage of rentals like everywhere else, but also has some opportunity price wise. So a lot of people don't even realize Edison Park's there, but I would take Edison Park all day long for long term, because that's basically a Chicago suburb in a way.
All right, we'll go out into your suburbs now. Wheaton or St. Charles?
Oh man, I live in St. Charles, so I'm going to be biased. Both of them are great because neither one of them have rental licenses. St. Charles is a little less convenient to the expressways, but you you have far more rentals in Wheaton, which I think the long-term opportunity in St. Charles for rent appreciation is greater.
All right, we'll go with your workhouse then. Roselle or Mount Prospect?
Roselle has no restrictions on rental license unless short-term. You can't do short-term rentals here. Mount Prospect has their own code. You got to get the rental license. They're a little more strict. You got Cook County taxes. Part of Roselle is in Cook County, but very little of the rental stock is there. So I'd say Roselle.
Cool. Schaumburg or Elmhurst?
Ooh, so Elmhurst does not have the rental license. Schaumburg does, but Schaumburg only has it for single family homes. You still got to pay the fee for townhouses and condos, but you don't have to get inspected. Elmhurst, I believe, is the more desirable, closer to the city, way better. I mean, they both got great transportation, but you're just very central to everything in the area, depending on what your circumstances are. And there's far less rental options over there. So if you have the opportunity to have a rental in Elmhurst, I would say Elmhurst.
Sweet. Addison or Aurora?
Oh man, where I was born. So I love Addison from the location perspective. It's in between 83, 290, 355, and it's got the main thoroughfares, North Avenue, East West on the south. But Aurora has a lot more newer housing stock. So there's a lot of townhouses that are built up and down Orchard, Randall, and 59 in the last 20 years. So if you have one of those townhouses, those are some of the best rentals, getting some of the best rents in Aurora right now.
Nice. By the way, I had to go to your website because there are so many Western suburbs that are so little that I'm like, all right, there's like, at least where we're at, like there's a lot of differences. I think there's more differences between Dalton and Harvey. There's a big difference between East Dalton and West Dalton. But I had to look for some. So I want to go a little bit further south for you, just so you can hit the whole area you serve. West Chicago or Bolingbrook?
Bolingbrook, you're going to get higher rents, surprisingly. But West Chicago is great because if there's not as many rentals there. There's next to nothing condo wise there. Very limited townhomes. So you will get a better value all around. But West Chicago is smack dab between Wheaton, Carroll Stream, Bartlett, and St. Charles, where people get priced out of a lot and will go to West Chicago. It's right down the street. And so it's a pretty good school system.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Last one I got for you. And this is because I had to look up this for something else earlier this morning, so I added it. But Chicago obviously is the biggest city in Illinois. The next two are Naperville and Aurora. So out of those two, I know they're neighbors, but where would you go?
The thing about Naperville and Aurora, it's its own economy out there. So you're less dependent on like the windfalls or the just the problems that Chicago has when you're out just that direction. Now I'm going to answer this a little more difficult. Naperville all day for long-term appreciation, but there are pockets in Aurora that go to Batavia School District and pockets in Aurora that go to Naperville School District. So if you're able to get something in Aurora in either one of those two great school districts, you're going to be able to get much more value for your dollar. But if you got a place in Naperville, Naperville's always going to be on some top list across the country of being the most amazing this or most amazing that. So.
Awesome. I'll let you off the hot seat. I like this game. I like being on your side of it. Although, as you probably just see, it's a little nerve wracking having to like think that quick, but it's fun.
I like it. We did it. Me and our marketing guy, Matt, we did this something similar with towns out here in the suburbs, but we probably picked too close to town. So it's like Carroll Stream and Bloomingdale. It's like, it's too close, but we actually did with books the other day, and I just got the post back too. And I went through 10 books and where I would have graded what it effect it had on me. So I like that quick thinking. Cause here's the thing. Everything we just said is either, facts you've learned over the years or experiences you've had or emotions you feel. And if you really just think from the top of your head, short of saying something not politically correct, it's pretty fun.
No, awesome. Cool. What else you got? Anything else on that?
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have something similar next week that I will share with you. And then, but we started planning for this today. September 15th, we have to have the boilers on. We started talking about that last week. Boilers got to be on. I don't know if this is a Cook County thing off the top of my head, but I know it's a Chicago thing, but we run our entire portfolio off of that September 15th date, just to kind of keep it consistent. Are you getting ready already? Or is there anything, there's a couple I know we're already talking over. It's like, hey, remember last year you're going to kick this problem to this year, and now it's time to pick up that problem and go buy a new boiler.
Yeah, so we're getting ready for that. And the big one is right now, and start, if you haven't yet, start scheduling your furnace cleanings, right? And services. It's going to cost you probably $100, maybe a couple hundred, depending on type of service and what you need. But doing it now while it's 80 degrees out versus waiting till that first freeze when it becomes an emergency is going to save you a lot of money. My favorite story I like to tell, and I beat this one into the ground, but I always tell it. We had a landlord who we just took over in the first 3 months. We had a ton of furnace issues. And he's like, I don't understand why the furnace keeps going out. He's like, I pay $100 a year from the furnace at my house, and it gets serviced once a year and it never goes out. And I go, cool. Who serviced this one last year? And he goes, oh no, I don't do that because it's a rental. Like, why would I do that for the rental? Like, because it will save you thousands of dollars because you're actually taking care of it. Preventative maintenance, man, the spend a nickel to save a dime philosophy. I think there's too many landlords that don't have it, and you really need it, especially with older stock and the houses that we have here in Chicagoland. You got a 100-year-old house. If you're not doing preventative maintenance, like gutter cleaning, like furnace checks, things like that, you're going to have a bill that's going to wipe out your profit for the entire year. Every once a lot more than you should.
Well, there's a couple things that we're doing this year to prepare, because you always have the stuff that goes out the first couple of weeks, first couple of cold nights, and for some reason the owner's caught by surprise and it's a financial issue. And some of these boilers these days cost $20,000-$30,000 if something blows up or something just doesn't make sense. So I found a finance company this year that we could refer to clients that will at least allow them to spread it over 12 or 14 months. And I think you have an option for that as well too, of prepaid rent. So that's something important that as any landlord, whether it be your boiler or the roof or whatever, or maybe a roof that gets blown off because of one of these storms that wasn't covered by your insurance, but now you got to come out of pocket. You just make sure you always have some sort of reserve or some access to money in a jiffy. But what I want to say is, to your point, I always use the analogy stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. And right now and I can't speak technically to this, but the new AC units and how they have to talk to these furnaces. Right now, we're experiencing a lot of situations where when we go to replace the AC, it's not compatible with the old furnace. Right. Or when we go to replace the furnace, it's now not compatible with the AC. So you end up, instead of having a $3,500 problem, you have a $6,000 or $7,000 problem that has to be replaced all at once. So if you're able to kick that down the road a few years, 3 or 4 years, just because you're spending that, maybe $100 in the fall, $100 in the spring for each unit, like that the math will math out for you.
No, absolutely. Speaking of insurance claims, this has nothing to do with real estate unless you as a landlord, you have a car as a company car like I do. But we just got I had to file insurance for the hailstorm in July on my car. And I think we're in the wrong business. For the hail damage to fix my Palisade came out to $17,500.
Wow, insurance.
But that just tells
you it kills me too
how bad that storm is. That the car damage was that bad from a storm is crazy.
Well, it's same with the restoration companies. It's like the restorations come and they do a whole bunch of intense work, and the way they build that out is to insurance standards, but ends up being 3-4 times what like the private guy could do. Yeah, you might have a blower, but you could go rent blowers these days and stuff like that. Yeah. So that's crazy. One more follow-up thing I want to say too, and this is speaking to your experience, is if you have a property in a C or D class neighborhood, that furnace most likely is working harder in these older buildings, being used more because tenants are leaving windows open, or if their boiler, they get so hot because the boiler's on, so they open all the windows, and then the boiler works harder to fight the outside temperature coming in. Yep. Our history is an A-class furnace will last. Your own personal furnace in your house will last longer than an A or B class. but a C or D class furnace will last maybe 2/3 of the time your A, B, or class one would be, which might be half the time for the one that you have in your house. So would you agree with that, Tim?
Yes, especially if you're not staying on top of things. My favorite calls that we will get come November, December are, I have my thermostat set to 88, but it won't get above 76 in here. Yeah, furnaces are not
Yes.
are not meant to operate that high. Your house is not built to allow it to get that high. Most houses are actually built with with the ability to let air go, which is why radon isn't a bigger issue, because everyone has a little bit of radon and it's not an issue until you have a lot. But generally speaking, air should leave your house, and no furnaces should be powerful enough to get your house to 80 something. But a lot of tenants that we experience, and we send out things now to tenants on this, is like, hey, look, your furnace can go up to 74, 75 maybe, but you should not be having it higher than that. And when you raise it higher than that, your furnace can't keep up, and that's why you have those issues.
Well, the best part, Tim, you left this out, is when you or your guy shows up for that call it no heat, lack of heat call, and they're basically in their bathing suit. They're in skimpy shorts and or short shorts, or the guys walk around no shirt on. He's always, I'm cold. I'm like, man, it's winter, man. Put a sweatshirt on. Like that's not how this works here.
Welcome to Chicago. It's a little cold.
Yeah, so I know for me personally, I after you hit a certain month, like, it's just, I wear a sweatshirt all year round, like whether it be at work, whether it be at home, like, and we keep our house cold, but at the same time, it's like there's just a level of expectation of, like, use a blanket when you sleep if you're cold, and if we're not going to be able to provide much more than what the systems out there with the buildings that we manage, or they're just called the Chicago housing stock, is not going to allow it to ever get to 88. It's just not. Right. To your point, the breathable piece and all that stuff. So the expectation just has to be reset in some of these, I don't know if you call it tough conversation or ridiculous conversations or whatever that we have to have from time to time. So, and again, that's a small percentage of tenants. Most tenants are awesome and they understand what we're explaining here, but that is something you get a couple of those a season and it's like, are you serious?
No, it's always funny, but I think that goes out to communicating with your tenants and making sure that you have reminders and obviously, knock on wood, we're not getting there anytime soon. I'm about to be on a beach in 2 weeks, but when it does get cold, sending out those reminders to tenants saying, like, hey, if you leave for vacation in the middle of winter, you still, even though you're paying the heat bill, you still have to have it at 68, when you're not home for a week. Drip the water lines and stuff like that, sending out that communication. And this is why having a good relationship with your tenants is so important. So make sure they're taking care of the place.
Awesome, man. Anything else you got this week before we wrap?
Here's what I want you to wrap, but instead of exiting right away, I want to share my screen and play something because I found this right now and it's hilarious. If you get bored or annoyed, cut it off and we'll be done already. Go to your end screen, but at least let everyone listen to the first minute or so of this. But go ahead and do your wrap, and we'll use my thing as a closing. I also want to see if it works to play through sound, so we're going to try this.
All right, everybody. Thank you. If you have any property management or landlord questions, feel free to chat us. We've been putting some posts out there saying we're going to go live and we can talk about your stuff in person. If you're watching this as a recording, feel free to find us on Instagram or LinkedIn and send us a message. You can probably Google any of us pretty easily. But love to hear from you, and we appreciate you forwarding this. I'm hearing great feedback on people that are watching the recordings of this. So thank you, and we will see you next week. Go ahead, hit it, Tim.
Right. Let me know what you guys think of this song.
This is a sad, sad story about why you should never rent a house. From Sun Wukong, Journey to the West. LLC.
We had 4 rooms in our house, and 2 roommates moved away. Plus, Julia was thinking of moving too, but she promised us we both could stay. You said you booked your tenants, and we all were satisfied. And since Julia was waiting on interviews, you gave her till the end of the month to decide. But then
So is this like a bad review, like from a tenant?
Yeah,
Actually?
and in a lawsuit with their landlord, they made this video.
That's awesome. Go ahead and throw the link in the chat because I'd love to share this.
No, Mark, I can't. Throwing it in our chat. Don't let me do the thing, but take it. Copy it and
All right, man. That's great. That's great, man. Throw the link in there so anyone can see that, and then I want that link as well too.
Awesome. It's in our private chat because it won't let me, but throw it in there for everyone from there.
Do I not give you the? Do you not have permission to throw stuff in the chat?
It's weird. It wants me to join the chat and then do a bunch of things. I don't know. Maybe
take off your shirt.
Yeah.
All right, I'll throw it in there. That way, anyone listening will.
Everyone needs listening. It's a little long. It's 5 minutes, but the moral of the story, and this is actually a good one. We can talk about it later after we leave. But the moral of the story is when you text a tenant, and this is why and I think you guys do the same. We do not want our landlords talking to the tenants at all. But if you text a tenant something, it's legally binding. And that's the moral of the story. So everyone watch it. And next week we're at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, right? We'll let everyone know.
So moving it up to accommodate your vacationing, but I'm happy to do so. And I'll see you next week, man. Thanks for jumping on. Thank you, everybody.